sorry. That was my fault, Josh.
This time, is there any discussion over last week's minutes? None. All right. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? At this time, is there anyone here for open forum? Sean.
Hi, Senators, thank you for allowing me to speak. What I'm passing out is the 4th Annual Veterans Week flyer, which starts next week. Big deal for us veterans. Veterans Day falls next Saturday, the 11th. So we usually celebrate before that day happens. Next year we'll celebrate Veterans Day and then we'll celebrate it. So on Monday, we're going to do our little Green Army Men scavenger hunt like we always do for prizes. I know where they're going to be, so if you're my best friend, come give me help. We got a lot of events going on. I even put the SGA Midnight Breakfast on there for you guys for some free publicity. I will be there. I get to finally participate instead of cook this time and serve. That's good. CAB is doing some stuff for us. NSLS is doing some stuff for us. A lot of different competitions this year. We're having a writing contest, military, first responder, veteran theme, the short story or poem, that short story being 10 pages or less. I'm not the judge of that, but I am going to be the judge of the push-up contest. And if you have the medal to go up against me, try it out. So on Saturday, which is Veterans Day, we do have a community service event. The Student Veterans Organization kind of owns Old Omen, and so we're going to clean it through Keep Tyler Beautiful. ACME, they control the other portion of the university, so we're going to have one big L. So if you want some community service and want to help us clean the streets, that's fine. Also, we'll have a camp out that day, and if you want more information on that camp out, let me know, because I'm one of the few that knows the exact location. I appreciate your time. Let your constituents know about Veterans Week. And I'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday.
I am very upset that Sean's not participating with us this year. Seeing him in a hairnet and Sodexo gear is always a fun time. So at this point, if Dr. Mirmaran, y'all guys are up for the textbook conversation. If you wouldn't mind, I would like for Dr. Mirmaran, if he would start, and then we'll have our bookstore people respond.
Absolutely. As you know, the registration for seniors starts today, or started today, and for everybody else starts on Monday. And the federal requirements require all the universities to have the textbooks identified along with the syllabus information for any course that you register at the time that you register. And of course, that's the preferred date, but there is a second deadline, which is 30 days before the classes start. So we all strive within academic affairs, all the colleges and departments, to make sure that the books that you're going to need for your classes are identified preferably at the time of registration and no worse than the 30 days before the classes start. Now, I have to admit that many cases we have had situations that the books were not identified before the classes started. Part of it has been the challenge of having to change the instructor the last minute, having to bring in an adjunct to be able to teach a class when enrollment for a particular class goes over a certain limit, we would have to add another instructor. In those situations, we would have some challenges and difficulties. Up until last spring, the arrangement was that every semester, the faculty would be asked, what is the book that you're going to be using for next semester when you teach this course? Starting last semester, I spoke with the folks in the bookstore, and we arranged that we will try to use a default approach, which unless I change the book as a faculty member, the same book that I used last time will be used in the class. And that has been working out well, except for some glitches that we had in the first semester. We tried it this semester. And we are hoping that going forward, we will be able to address that. We're not going to be 100% avoiding those problems or glitches, which are going to be either last-minute changes of the instructor of the course or the addition of a new class because the enrollment may have gone up and therefore we have added a course or a new textbook. But we are trying to minimize that so that, quite frankly, students would be able to know what the book is well in advance so that you can order it from Amazon or any other source that you want to get, in addition to going to the bookstore. Now, another issue that was brought up was the availability of the book that has been identified by the faculty, but because it was custom ordered, the bookstore goes based on the number of books that are typically taken by the students. So, for example, if the class enrollment is 50, maybe there are only 20% or 50%. I like to think that 100% of the students would buy the book, but they would be able to tell you that it's not true, and perhaps a percentage of the students would take that book. So they have a process by which they will order the books. In a regular book that is by one of the publishers, it should not be a problem. You should be able to order it right away, and they will bring it from another Barnes & Noble. But for some of the books that are custom made, that would take some time. And I know we had a glitch this semester or the semester before that we had this case that the custom-made books were not ordered enough for the class enrollment. And I think we're trying to address that by perhaps having, and I would strongly recommend that the students would try to get the books from bookstore as soon as they become available so that they would know that they're running out of them and they would be able to order that. But please, myself, and I believe Dr. Mukhtari, as the President of Faculty Senate, we want to make sure that we know if there is any glitches, please let us know because we want to avoid that problem. If it's particular discipline or particular department or college, we want to try to address that. We don't want our students go to first day of class without knowing they have which book they have to buy or without having the book in their hand. One last thing that I would add is that we're trying this year and hoping to move toward that we try to, at least for the core courses, to try to see if we can use open educational resources. I know that the cost of textbook is also very high, and this affects many of our students because sometimes, quite frankly, they have to decide, can I afford buying this book or not? So I know that many faculty are looking at that opportunity, and we try to see if we can reduce the cost of the textbook in those courses that there is such an availability to go to open educational resources. And if we can do that course by course, we're trying to target some of the courses to be able to do that. Hopefully that would also help us. Dr. Mukhtari, do you want to add?
I think we're on the same page. I'm actually out of curiosity. Can I ask you guys how many of you actually buy the textbooks from the bookstore? Well, maybe the opposite. How many do not or buy it from somewhere else? Okay, I'm just out of curiosity. So yes, absolutely. And as my role as the faculty senate president, I will do everything I can to make sure the faculty are informed, to make sure that you guys, basically the bottom line, you have your textbooks when you need them. Does that make sense? So we are going to make sure that we do what we can to make sure that happens.
So I'm representing on behalf of my boss, Chris Patino, the store manager. I'm a department manager there, and I'm here as eyes and ears to pass on to him any information, any feedback that I can. And Ashton is with me. He's our textbook supervisor. So he's my backup. He's going to know extensively or more than I will about textbooks and that communication from us to the teachers. We work with the faculty to bring in what we need for the students, and we try to do it in the most timely manner so that we have availability and numbers and then what you want for your students. you know, we're doing what we can, and we're open to do whatever we need to do to change, you know, within parameters for our store and what it takes to get all the information from the teachers to order the books and have them there for the students in time. And we want to see more books available for when students see them as well. You know, that's our key thing with textbooks, is having them there for students so you guys have access to them when you need them. If we sell out, we get them in a timely manner and that type of thing. If there's anything else to add.
Sarah.
Well, you made like a good point that most of us, or I wouldn't even say most, I don't know the true statistics, that a proportion of students do go by online. What we've, including me, generally because I'm in nursing school, I buy it from somebody ahead of me. But what has been brought up to us and a couple of senators is people using financial aid. And that's where it's like super critical that teachers have to send their textbooks to the bookstore. And I think, I don't speak for everyone here, but I think that's a big portion of this problem that will happen, is that it has nothing to really do like using the bookstore to go find the book, which is a big help for most students because they don't realize they can go look at the syllabi, they go to the bookstore first. But there are specific people, and even in the Senate, who make it very clear, like, I have to use my financial aid to pay for textbooks. And so when things aren't on time because the teacher didn't send it, or whatever, and I even talked to, his name was Chris, right?
Yes, Chris
I talked to
Patino.
Chris, he's like, yeah, I even had to go talk to financial aid and have them try to reopen a person's financial aid package because they weren't able to get their book on time. And I think that's one of the big issues with this textbook thing. So I do think it is great that we are making strides forward, but I think that's a big portion to think about, is those people have to shop at the bookstore. That's why it's extremely critical that their textbooks are in on time and that their teachers are sending it. And Chris didn't really make it clear to me that if they weren't changing the textbook, that was the case. He kind of made it seem like y'all still have to have something from the teacher come through.
What he's told me, and I think we have to have something there. So if we don't hear from the teacher, then I believe what we did this semester is we reused what they had last semester.
For the most part, we reused what they had for last semester, but it's still taking quite some time to get most of the books for this upcoming term from professors. At this point, we only had about a 30% adoption rate, while last year at this point, I believe we had about a 45 to 50% adoption rate. So even this year is falling behind further than last year. That's another issue that we're having to address, is we're not going to be able to order these books yet because we don't know what the books will be, because the professors haven't been able to send them in yet, or they haven't decided to. One of those cases.
When I spoke to Chris, the concern he had was that he needs to have a statement either from the department or from the faculty that says, this is the book we adopted, right? So on the other hand, what we are doing is that rather than every time faculty going to have to go and say, this is the book, we're saying that unless I change it, it would be the same as last one. So he has agreed with me as of last week that we would actually endorse using the previous year's book or previous time that the book was taught, unless we specifically and explicitly change it. Now, I have asked Chris to tell me as we move forward to the first day of the class, that I want to know specifically which disciplines, which departments we are having delay in telling the bookstore what the book is that they need to use, or if they have already identified the book as, for example, the default book from last time, if they are coming back and saying last minute, oh no, I changed my mind. Basically, we're saying, yes, the faculty has every right to change the textbook, but you want to do it before registration begins. So I'm hoping this would address some of these challenges, and there has been a hesitation on the part of the bookstore to order those books, because until faculty says, yes, I'm going to use it, they feel that that's a business risk that they would have to take. I'm taking away that risk by convincing them that I am taking that risk, that if a faculty member comes back and says, last minute, I'm going to change it, then I would have a conversation with them and say, we passed the deadline by which we needed to let the bookstore go.
And I think one of the things perhaps, you may have done it already, is to talk to the council of chairs. They're the ones that are going to make sure that the faculty actually submit the bookstore orders. Did I hear you say 40%? 30%? 30%? That's
Last year, we were about 45%.
70% don't. So that's not good.
And knowing we have your support in that area will help a lot. You know, it's a
Right.
good-
And I think we all have an obligation to make sure, particularly the chairs. The chairs have the responsibility and the authority to make sure that the faculty members actually submit the textbook order on time.
Right.
So, and perhaps through the deans as well. So, and particularly for people who are on financial aid that don't have a lot of choices.
And that's their only choice.
That's it. And
Right,
the cutoff is
right.
that
Yeah,
Friday before
yeah.
school starts or Saturday.
And this is great. This is actually part of us communicating to make sure that we fix this thing. And we make sure that, the bookstore only does what the departments provide them, right? So,
Do you have a Zoom comment?
No, it's me.
Okay.
Just curiosity, what do you think your plan would be in order to kind of push this to the teachers? Because you can only say so much, and I feel like you're already kind of pushing what you can to these teachers, but like, what's the next step in this?
That's the reason we'd have to bring in the heads, the deans, the chairs, things like that, because there's only so much that we can continue to say to the professors before we actually have to get someone hired out to actually motivate the professor to send us the information on what they're going to
and I'm wondering if it would help, if it would be of some value for you guys to also talk to the chairs directly.
For sure.
Is that,
Well, my suggestion is that, first of all, because we have changed this, and this is still new in the minds of both the bookstore and some of the departments, but if you think about it, what we are saying to the teachers is different from what we have said in the past. In the past, every semester we go to them and say, tell us what your book is. This time we're saying, your book is going to be the same as last time unless you change it. And you can't change it unless you tell us in advance. So this way, I don't expect to have, well, there would be probably 1 or 2 semesters before we get it completely ironed out, but hopefully they would address the issue. Now, we're still going to have last minute changes, and I've asked the bookstore to tell me about last minute changes, and I would want to ask you guys as senators to please talk to your constituents to make sure that if there are issues like that, just email me or email provost@uttyler.edu. I want to know those cases so that we would be able to zero in on those type of problems, and hopefully we'll be able to work with the chairs and deans. I've already communicated with them. We're going to continue doing that, and I've asked Bookstore to be our partner in trying to make sure that we have the books in time.
Vice President Seeley.
I had a question kind of about the syllabus thing y'all were talking about, where the syllabi have to be posted online by registration. Like preferably, you said there's a second date, correct? Is there like someone or somehow that's checked? I'm asking because when you said that, I thought about how we found a syllabi from my department. I'm a biochemistry major, so I went to the chemistry department just a few minutes ago. All the syllabi are from last year, even as far back as 3 years ago. Are they supposed to be current syllabi, or like if it's not changed? I noticed like for my class personally, it's a different professor this semester teaching it, but the professor from 3 years ago, their syllabi is still up. It's not an updated syllabi. Not a single class that's supposedly offered in the spring for the whole chemistry department is a 2018 syllabi. Is that like normal? Is there something that checks that? I'm not sure what the actual requirement is on that one.
my guess is that it's not a university-wide thing. I can tell you where I am from in the College of Education Psychology. When we upload the syllabi, they replace the old.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you go there, you're probably going to see the most current syllabus.
Mhm.
And I believe they're organized by semester, by course,
Yes.
as well. It could be just in chemistry. Perhaps this is something that the department can address.
Okay.
I would encourage you to talk with
Dr. Fred.
Lance.
Okay.
I believe he's
Neil,
Dr.
Gray.
Gray.
Dr.
Yeah,
Gray.
Neil Gray. It should be an easy fix, really.
Okay.
So,
But I would say that we have to report to the state, because that's a state regulation about the syllabus itself, that we have to have that information before the first day of classes. So syllabus technically is before first day of classes,
Mhm.
but the book information is earlier
Okay.
that I mentioned. So we are trying to address both of them. The books has to do with the bookstore side. The syllabus has to do with the faculty members, and it does change. year to year, even though you would say that the content might be similar, but yes, indeed it changes, and we have someone actually monitor that. And but the deadline for monitoring it is much closer to the start of the semester rather than the time of registration.
Okay, that makes sense.
Seeing that there's no other comments, thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
All right, guys, for my officer report, I've been doing a lot of kind of research, getting everything ready for the beginning stages of, we're actually going to start drafting the tuition proposal. And so I've been studying up on that and doing a lot of meetings with people and trying to gather as much intel as I can to make sure that I'm informed for those meetings. It's a very complicated process, but it's something that we're working on. That's really been a lot of my time. So, Vice President Seeley?
This week I've been getting ready for midnight breakfast, finalizing the purchase orders and whatnot. Also had a very productive meeting with Bob Hebler and Chris Thompson about some other bike share companies that we've reached out to and gotten information from. Very excited about the survey. We're hopefully gonna approve tonight for distribution and get those results back and move forward, because that's a lot of great things going on in that area. Midnight breakfast is next Tuesday. Be in the Met at 9:30. We will, fingers crossed, all the things, hope that our t-shirts will be here on time. They're supposed to be here that day. So
T-shirts will be here.
yeah, we're told they'll be here that day. Before 9:30, they should be. And so we'll have a box. We'll check off your size, give you your shirt. If, as a backup plan, try and wear a UT Tyler shirt, just as a backup, just in case. UT Tyler, something. The event will end at midnight. People don't gotta go home, but they can't stay in the Met because we gotta clean up and get some sleep. Are there any questions? We should be done cleaning up by 12:15. That's what it says from those people. Hopefully faster.
Secretary McDaniel?
Okay, so I finished up the SGA shirts and the midnight breakfast shirts. The midnight breakfast shirts will be here on November 7th. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't even wear UT Tyler shirts. They will be here. No.
Still wear UT Tyler shirt.
I wanted to thank my committee first off for being a really big help next. It's been a very stressful process that has taken a lot of time, and I literally put in the order on Friday, and club colors, whatever, already got them done, figured out, and gonna be sent to me. And shout out to Josh for being really helpful with that too, because again, it's been a very, very long and stressful process. That's all I got. Shirts, yeah, I'll bring them to the number. Oh, that's okay. Okay, Mackenzie and Zoe have been really cool with this app thing they got that they showed me, and they've made a kind of like a midnight breakfast video thing. So I'm gonna see if this is possible. I don't know if it's possible at all, but I want to kind of see if I can get a link or get it out onto these TVs to maybe show once a day. But I also want to get it out on Canvas so that y'all can post it on your social medias to make sure that we're putting it out there for people to come, because it is a really big event for SGA. And so I want a lot of people to be able to be there. So I'm going to kind of see if that's a possible thing to do. I'll talk about another thing though in my reports. But for that, make sure you're just telling people about it, because it is a big thing. I want people to come. That's all I got.
Treasurer McLeod?
Okay, well, this week I've just been spending my time emailing people, but also the rest of the EB and I decided to start back up giving out Senator of the Month awards. So we decided for September 2017 that Lindsay Bell is a Senator of the Month for her leadership and involvement in both SGA and the community. So
campus fair. Katie's been to the picture. You're like that. Okay, after. Yeah, you're right. You're after campus Stroh's.
Yeah, and for October, we decided that Sarah Freshour is the center of the month because for her contributing to discussions and stepping up to be the chair of the Student Affairs Committee.
That's awkward.
Okay, that's all.
All right, Parliamentary Hicken.
All right, just a couple things. Midnight breakfast. If you didn't see on the agenda, because you voted against it. Funny. It is mandatory. So if you can't be there, you have to fill out an absence form. Okay. If you do not show up and you have not turned in an absence form 48 hours in advance, you will be counted absent. And if you already have 2 absences, you're going to be at the judicial board. It's just as big a deal as these meetings and your committee meetings are. So mandatory event, be there or fill out an absence form. And then the other thing is we talked about, so last week we talked about officer elections being sometime in the earlier spring. And we decided that March 1st and 2nd is going to be the dates for the officer elections. That's during homecoming. Since they moved homecoming to the spring, so it's going to be this midnight breakfast in the spring is going to be the Wednesday of homecoming, and then elections are going to start at midnight that night, right after midnight breakfast. Yeah, and that's for officer elections. The Senate elections are going to be held later on. That's just for officer elections. So if you want to run for an executive board position, come talk to one of us, and we'll get you all filed and everything set up and good to go. Sometime, hopefully, end of this week, beginning of next week. I understand Josh is a busy man, and that application will be online. We'll put it on Canvas as soon as it's ready, but have a little bit of patience. He's a really important dude around here, and everyone needs his help.
Freshman senators, y'all have any reports?
I just know a couple of complications at Oval and parking. The police officers are giving citations now. Like the whole parking lot used to be like visitor friendly, but now the response that are visitor like friendly are being enforced now. So like citations are being out.
Senator Freshour.
Can I take a quick, I don't know if this is yeah, they ticketed the entire Hillside one yesterday. Really encourage visitors, friends, whatever, to go to the police officer, the station is open 24 hours. To get a visitor pass, like it's really like even if you were well, if you're the one who's seeing that, but just if there's just go to the police station, hey, I'm hanging out with my friends at Oval for a couple hours, I need a visitor pass, and they give you one around the spot. So definitely encourage your constituents to tell their friends, whoever else, to do that. But yeah, I don't know what got into them yesterday, but they decided they're going to ticket all of our campus housing.
Any other reports? Student body at large? Student life committee.
So we met last week on Friday, and we're looking into some service type things to do, but a couple of the projects, like, they are not really going to work out with the timing, but Jerry Stuff has brought me into the Arbor Day Planning Committee, and SGA will officially have a role in Arbor Day 2017, which will be on campus. It'll be a great way to get out there and not only get involved in the Tyler community, but our campus community. And so that meeting is this Friday, and I will have more updates on what we're going to do on Arbor Day, which is about trees, for anyone who doesn't know what the word arbor means, because I had to look it up. It's about trees. I think we're good.
Communications?
So we did meet, we made the video and a couple of flyers for Midnight Breakfast. So we are still doing Meet a Senator Monday. So if y'all can all send in a picture that you would like to be portrayed on Insta, don't worry, we won't pick one for you. to, I guess, email it to Abby.
Yeah. Like, give me like a little bio or something like that. Like something interesting on me, tell people.
Yeah, and then, and we're gonna do y'all this coming Monday, so send that in real quick. And if you haven't followed SGA on any social media yet, please do.
And I know some.
Twitter is our big one.
We're
and
not
Instagram.
meeting on Monday. Why? Why did I hate him?
So that Simon knew.
Oh, Simon, we're not meeting
But the next meeting, we're gonna work on promotional items, or think of promotional items for elections and stuff. I was typing that, but good percent.
SGAC.
This last week, we approved $107.36 for the Model UN Club. They're doing a mock conference event that takes place on the 9th. And so if you want to go, it's open to everybody. It seems like a pretty cool event. You kind of get to see what all they do in their organization. So it gives them some exposure and lets people know a little bit more about them. And then this upcoming week, which is we meet tomorrow, we'll meet with the Hispanic Student Association and the Society of Human Resource Management. So.
Rules Committee.
We didn't meet last week because I was leaving town. So we'll meet tomorrow in my office, UC 3411 at 3:30 for anybody that's new in my committee.
Student Affairs.
We met this week, we talked about, the parking thing. I've emailed Lieutenant Seal all of y'all's contact information, my information, as his points of contact from here on out, because it sounds like what they want to push is that they tell us and then we tell the student body, even though we don't have access to all 10,000 students. But, you know, we'll do our best. And I still included in my email, like, what my committee is deemed an option, which is using that mass system that they use for like tornadoes and emergencies. And he just hasn't contacted me back about that just yet. I'm sure he's looking into it. We went over the survey a little more with Savannah. We're going to be presenting that later in Old Business. We talked heavily about the textbook and stuff, but we knew we were going to start to go tonight. I felt like it was somewhat productive. I just hope they listen to us and understand that it's a big, more serious issue than they think. So hopefully that gets solved within the next semester or two. And
This time, is there any old business? Senator Fresh-Hauer.
motion to approve survey and email for bike sharing survey.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve and distribute the survey to the students over the bike share program. Senator Fresh-Hauer, you have the floor.
We can show it to you guys real quick.
Yeah, so just click on the survey link.
And
Yeah, we don't need to hold on.
we wanted to change it right here in real time. There's like
Hey, Sarah, we're just gonna show them the survey, the changes that we made to the survey last week. Yeah, we're gonna just pull that up right here.
Any changes
Oh,
that
it's
you
on.
made to it, there are changes on there now. When, since that motion was a motion to approve it and distribute it, that will take care of that. Because we're approving and distributing this.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and speak on that. I think, make sure that I'm correct on that, but I think if we made any form of changes, we could amend your motion to approve the distribution of the amended survey that we made.
Yeah.
keep in mind that this will be the second question, and that the first question will include all the information about the student ID and all that good stuff that Josh knows how to do. Make sure nobody takes the place. we stop right here, please? So this is the question that we edited, and I specifically want you guys to look at because it does clarify it better. So if anybody has any questions, comments?
Nothing?
And then the rest of the questions are the same.
Oh, wait, no, there was one that was changed. Yeah, we just, on that last question. It's cool.
No.
You'd have to,
You can refresh it.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay, well, yeah.
Refresh the whole webpage and it should let you do it again.
Ah,
Man, I didn't even answer the question.
crying. The documents down at the bottom. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Okay. Well, it said implementing, looked like that changed.
What was?
Instead of just saying a bicycle program, we kind of outlined that it's a bicycle share program.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In case like you don't know what. Yeah.
Vice President Seeley.
There's also going to be an accompanying email like we talked about where it explains what a bicycle sharing program is, and it has a video explaining how it would theoretically be used. So it's just like a small instructional video from one company, and we added that that company is not necessarily the one that UT Tyler would use, but that it covers the basis of what the program is most likely going to look like. They're all very similar to each other.
Senator Freshour.
Yeah, the email blurb is short and sweet and to the point, like we talked about last week. Has a link to the data, has a link to the survey, and has a link to the survey twice. Like it'll say this survey and have a hyperlink there, and then I'll have a link at the bottom. Yeah, explains what a bicycle sharing program is, brief, like in one sentence, the spiel of like you check it out, you return it, and story available to everybody. And then we explicitly said like this is not necessarily the company we're using, but here's a video, and the video is a minute and 20 seconds. It's very short, so that was even short too. So it really covered a lot of things we talked about last week.
Any other comments? Since there's no more comments, at this point, we would vote to approve it. We did not make any changes, so the regular motion or the original motion still stands. So all of those in favor of approving this survey and distributing it to student body, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right. That passes. Is there any other old business? Hearing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to, actually, I think we'll wait a week on the textbook discussion. I'll wait and see what they do as far as registration since that started today. So I resent that. Any new business? None? Advisor comments, Josh?
I don't have any at this time.
All right. Announcements. Tomorrow is Patriot Madness. Starts at 8 o'clock. I would like to see a lot of y'all there. It's a big event and it seems pretty fun. Be supportive of all of our athletes and see a new program. Any other announcements? Senator Perry.
Go stress.
Tomorrow is Rise from 6 to 9 p.m. In the UC ballroom. And what we're going to do is it's basically like a huge leadership workshop. And we're going to have 2 presentations. And then we're also going to be making tie blankets for the church under the bridge. So that's always fun, to lend a hand. But if you can come to that. If you don't watch people dunk basketball. No, you can just.
Any other announcements?
Abby, did you read the comment on Zoom?
Yes, I was trying to type back to her, but I think I said she was off of it. I can read it though. Halima said, although it wasn't returned, students were complaining about the Wi-Fi issue. Apparently Wi-Fi disconnects or is unstable too much. Wi-Fi is off and on at times from what I've heard. Unsure if this is an issue of importance for SGA, but it is annoying students when their internet disconnects during assignments or so on. And I just expressed to her that it's a common concern and that the same answer was going to be put out there and that it's being fixed, but I didn't know if there was anything else or if anyone. I know that I've had this issue in the library recently a lot. I don't know why Patriot Air is not connecting, but it's just I don't know what can be done next.
I'll send that over to Sherry Watley.
Oh, gotcha.
VP.
Halima's here. No.
Um,
You'll share it over to who?
Sherry Watley, she's our Vice President of Information and Technology.
Perfect.
Abby, would you dispense second roll call, please?
President Goodwin.
Here.
Vice President Sealy.
Here.
Treasurer McLeod.
Here.
Parliamentarian Hicken.
Here.
Senator Lunsford. Here. Senator Jawad. Hey, sir. Senator Job.
Here.
Senator Parrish.
Here.
Senator Jacobs.
Here.
Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Schwab. Senator Washburn.
Here.
Senator Freshour.
Here.
Senator Shaka.
Here.
Senator Bell.
Here.
Senator Method.
Here.
Senator John.
Here.
Senator Sweetland.
Here.
Senator Camarillo. Senator Meek. Senator Robertson. Senator Merrow. Senator Adams. Senator Daniel. Senator Dukes. Senator Fruit. Senator Jackson. Senator Johnson. Senator Mazza. Senator Morrison. Senator Mosley. Senator Agudelo. Senator Hart. Senator Strong. Senator Copeland. Senator Seeley.
Senator Sweetland.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? If not, y'all are adjourned. Go Stros.
Mr.
Pass strong.